Welcome to Movie Recall. In today's video, we will be going through the 2021 movie Oxygen. It's time to recall. Let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie starts and we see a woman who wakes up and finds herself trapped in a very advanced pod. She has no idea what is going on with her. She does not remember anything and tries to remember her name, but she cannot even get herself to do that. We see that she is assisted by an AI called Milo, which is short for Medical Interface Liaison Officer. The woman then realizes that she is in an airtight medical cryogenic unit. The oxygen in this unit is falling rapidly, and that is causing her to lose her memories. This is when she goes on to hear Milo. She goes on to ask Milo to get her out of there right away. Milo, however, goes on to ask her for the code, but the girl does not even remember her name, so remembering a code is out of the question. Milo then makes it clear that the pod cannot be opened without the code. She then goes on to ask her own name to Milo. Milo gives her a name, but that name is not hers. Milo then goes on to make her look at her own reflection, and when she sees her face, she starts having flashbacks. She sees visions of a rat trapped in what looks like a very confusing table, and the lab is not able to get out of there. She now gets back to her senses a little and tells Milo to call the emergency. She makes Milo dial the number, and when she is connected to an officer, she goes on to tell him that she is trapped in an advanced medical facility. She, however, says that she has no idea how she got to this place and who is her captor. The police officer tells her that she is going to have to give them at least something to follow, or else they're not going to be able to help her. This is when she notices a code written on the wall of the pod. She tells them that they can also trace the number through which she is calling them right now. The call then disconnects and the girl has many questions. She wants to know who she is, so she tells Milo to run a DNA test for her and share all the details with her. Milo right away runs the DNA test and tells her that details that pop up. She is told that her name is Elizabeth Hansen, and he even shows her some of her old pictures. She now knows her name. She then receives a call from the police officer, and they ask her if the oxygen level in her pod is stable. Elizabeth looks around and sees that the oxygen is already at 30%, which means she will be out of oxygen approximately after an hour. She, however, decides that she is going to stay calm because if she keeps getting panicked, her body is going to consume this oxygen quickly, and that could turn out to be fatal for her. The officer then goes on to tell Elizabeth the name of the chamber's owner must be mentioned in this chamber, so she has to find it and tell it to them right away. Elizabeth looks around, but she is not able to find any name there. The phone gets disconnected yet again. Elizabeth now starts panicking. Milo senses it and goes on to tell Elizabeth that she will be out of oxygen soon and then her death is going to be painful. So if she wants, Milo can kill her a merciful death in which she will die without feeling any pain. Elizabeth, however, refuses to take this offer and tells him to pull up more details on her. Milo right away takes the command and goes on to pull up some articles that have been written about Elizabeth. When Elizabeth reads the articles, she goes on to realize that she is actually a doctor. She goes on to remember that the machine in which she is currently trapped, she is the one who created this pod. Elizabeth then manages to approach her social media account as well. She sees some of her pictures with a man. She realizes that she is married to, and her husband's name is Leo Ferguson. She then tells Milo that she wants to contact her husband, and Milo right away calls Leo, but the phone is picked up by a woman. Elizabeth tells her that she needs to speak to her husband right away. When Elizabeth says the word husband, the woman on the phone gets really angry and starts shouting. She disconnects the call. Elizabeth is now really worried as she keeps looking at the clock indicating the oxygen level in her pod, and it keeps falling rapidly. If she does not do anything about it quickly, she is going to die. She then tries to open the chamber, but even after having tried with all the might she has left, the chamber does not even budge. She then goes on to see more visions of the same rat that is trapped. She, however, tries to ignore it, thinking that she might be hallucinating on and off. The police call again, and this time the officer goes on to tell her that they have pulled up some details on her, and he tells her that she used to live with her mother, but Elizabeth says this is not correct. She used to live with her husband. The police officer, however, tells her that she is wrong. They are sure that she used to live with her mother. Elizabeth now starts doubting it too, so she goes on to take another look at the articles she saw before. She sees the same pictures in which she was with her husband, but this time, she is shocked to see that there is no one with her in those pictures this time. Elizabeth talks to the police officer yet again, and this time, he tells her mother's name, but she tells him that this is not her mother's name. She then listens to him with attention and realizes that this police officer is not alone. There is someone speaking in the background. She thinks that she is being played by someone. Elizabeth does not trust the police officer anymore, so she goes on to tell him that she needs to listen to the recording of the call. When she listens to the recording, she can clearly hear someone else in the background. We see that the oxygen is now really low, so she is hallucinating a lot of things too. Elizabeth then goes on to receive a call from the number on which she tried contacting her husband. She answers the call, but again, the same woman is on the phone. The woman goes on to tell Elizabeth that she knows who Elizabeth is, and she also knows that her husband is not alive anymore. The woman then goes on to tell Elizabeth that she knows that she is currently in a cryogenic unit, adding that she even knows the code to the pod she is in. Elizabeth then requests the woman to give her the code right away. The woman does not tell her the code, but she tells Elizabeth never to open that pod because she is not on Earth. She is currently in space. She tells her that if she opened that pod, then she is going to float away and that will be the end of her. Elizabeth then demands to know why all of this is happening to her, and the woman tells her that she has been sent away because there was a virus on Earth, and this virus is the reason behind her husband's death too. The human life was on the verge of coming to an end, and that is why the authorities came up with a mission in which Elizabeth was sent to another planet, and the journey was supposed to be of 34 years, but Elizabeth woke up before she was supposed to. Elizabeth is told that no one is going to be able to save her life now. Elizabeth then goes on to ask why the police officer has been giving her all the wrong information, and the woman tells her that the police officer knows where Elizabeth is, and he also knows that there is no way she is going to survive. She says the police officer wants her to run out of oxygen right away because there is no way they can rescue her. The woman then says that there is but one way she can survive, and for that, she is going to have to go into hibernation mode, and for that, she needs 2% oxygen in her chamber. Liz accesses the controls for a centrifuge and turns the centrifuge off. She begins floating weightlessly. After a brief explanation, it is revealed that she has been placed into hypersleep and is 12 years into a 34-year journey to a 14 light-year distant planet. The mission is secret and mankind will be extinct in the near future due to that deadly virus that took her husband too. The call disconnects and Elizabeth is now left with nothing but loneliness. After having talked to the woman on the call, Elizabeth now remembers many things from her past too. Elizabeth starts remembering the time when her husband was sick because of the virus. She remembers the last few moments she spent with him. She remembers that her husband had told her that they were going to meet again soon, and she was a little weirded out by that because a dying man does not really say this thing to a woman whom he loves. She takes a look at the screen on the pod and learns that she woke up because there was some problem with the processor and it got overheated, prompting her to wake up just after 12 years. She then tries to repair the pod, but she is not able to achieve anything. She then realizes she must divert the functions of the processor to a less sophisticated processor assigned to non-essential functions, but fails since the data exceeds that processor's capacity. As time passes and with the oxygen level fading, she has now lost all hope. She goes on to decide that she is going to open up the chamber and end her life right away because she does not want to suffer anymore. She tells Milo to change the screen in front of her into a transparent glass, and just as the glass becomes transparent, she goes on to see that there is another dead body outside, and this horrifies her as well. This is when she goes on to realize that she is not the only one there. There are 10,000 chambers out there. She is shocked to learn that among those 10,000 chambers, one belongs to her husband Leo. When she realizes that her husband is still alive, she becomes happy for a moment. There is a new ray of hope in her body, and she starts thinking about the past again. She sees that when she herself used to work as a doctor in a lab, she too did many experiments on a rat. She remembers one of her experiments in which she once put a rat into a very confused pod from which it was not easy for any rat to get out. One of the rats, however, was able to come out of the zigzagged pad, and Elizabeth went on to put the brain of that intelligent rat into a clone rat. This new rat also comes out of the confusing pod right away because he has the brain of the other intelligent rat and all the memories too, of course. She now realizes that the very same thing has happened with her too. The woman with whom she was speaking on the phone, it was no one but herself. It is revealed that the woman who talked to her is actually the real Elizabeth, who is now an aged woman. The Elizabeth who is now in this chamber and taking her last few breaths, she is actually a clone of the real Elizabeth. All of the memories of the real Elizabeth and even the genetics of the woman have been instilled in this new Elizabeth. This is the reason the Elizabeth in the pod knows everything about the real Elizabeth, because she has all her memories. It is revealed that the same thing has been done to her husband as well. The Leo in the chamber is not actually the real Leo. It is actually a clone of the real Leo, but this fake Leo does have all the memories of the old Leo. This is the reason Elizabeth's husband had told her on his deathbed that they were going to meet again soon. When Elizabeth gets to know the whole truth behind everything, she goes on to reactivate his chamber because she now does not want to lose her life, as she has a chance of having a proper life with her beloved husband. She decides that she is going to try to go into hibernation mode to save her life. She starts getting attached to all the gadgets to which she was attached when she woke up earlier. The oxygen level is now at 3%, and to get herself into hibernation mode, she needs the oxygen level to be at 2% at least, because if the oxygen level is lower than this, she is going to die when she goes into hibernation mode. However, she takes too much time setting up all the gadgets on the pod, and by the time she is done, she is horrified to see that the oxygen level is on 1%. She loses all hope. Just as she closes her eyes waiting for death, she comes up with another idea. She realizes that there are many chambers out there, and she is sure that some of them are already dead. Milo activates a euthanasia protocol due to her 0% chance of survival. However, Liz manages to deactivate the euthanasia processor and successfully reassigns the malfunctioning processor's functions to it. She then goes on to ask Milo if some of the people from the other chambers are already dead. Milo's response is yes. Elizabeth then goes on to ask him if their oxygen can be transferred to her chamber, and Milo says yes again. Milo says that she is going to give him the command to do it and put herself to hypersleep right away. As Elizabeth is doing all this, she keeps hallucinating. In one of her visions, she even goes on to see that she is surrounded by dozens of rats she used in her lab. They are about to feed up on her legs. She, however, manages to get her sense back just in time. She has now gotten into hibernation mode, and just as she does that, the oxygen starts getting transferred to her pod as well. The movie ends with her being with new Leo on another planet that is just like Earth. And with that, the movie comes to an end. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.